Good morning, friends. Today, we embark on a journey that is often overlooked in our noisy world, a journey into the hidden laws of wealth, the quiet currents that bring prosperity without fanfare, without the clamor of comparison, without anyone knowing but the universe itself. True wealth does not shout. It does not demand attention. It flows silently, naturally, to those who align with its invisible rules. And there are 9 such principles that, when understood and practiced, will open the doors to abundant living. The first hidden rule is this: the power of your words. Words are the seeds from which all conditions grow. To speak of lack is to invite it. To declare abundance is to manifest it. Speak often of prosperity, of opportunities, of the blessings already present in your life. The universe responds not to desire alone, but to the words that carry the vibration of certainty. When you affirm your wealth, do so quietly, confidently, as if it already exists, and the world, they will begin to arrange itself in your favor. The second rule is the vision of abundance. Riches are always the child of imagination first. You must see your wealth before it appears, not as a wish, but as an inner reality. Close your eyes and picture the life you desire in vivid detail, the security, the freedom, the generosity. Feel it as if it is already yours. The mind cannot distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is real. By holding this vision consistently, you draw circumstances and people into alignment with it, like iron drawn to a magnet. Thirdly, faith in invisible law is essential. Wealth, like the wind, cannot be seen, yet it moves mountains and fills coffers. Trust in the unseen principles that govern prosperity. Do not be discouraged by appearances. What seems like delay is often the perfect timing of the universe arranging its elements. When you act from faith rather than fear, you step into the flow of abundance that is always present, even when it seems hidden. The fourth rule is giving without loss. Prosperity is a circulatory system. To receive freely, one must give freely. Yet the giving that attracts wealth is not done begrudgingly or for recognition. It is done quietly, with the inner joy of knowing that every act of generosity sets a current of abundance in motion. The more you give with a pure heart, the more the universe will return to you in ways that cannot always be seen but are always real. The fifth principle is concentration of mind. A scattered mind will never gather wealth. The person who is rich in spirit and money focuses on their highest goal with unwavering attention. Every thought, every word, every action becomes aligned with this aim. Distractions, worries, and doubt are the thieves that steal the treasures before they arrive. Keep your focus, not on lack, but on the orderly flow of life toward your prosperity. Rule 6 is avoiding public display. True wealth does not parade itself. Those who are quietly rich carry their abundance as a natural extension of their character, not as an advertisement. The less you speak of what you have, the more secure and undisturbed your prosperity becomes. The universe delights in discreet channels, in unseen rivers of provision that nourish quietly but abundantly. The seventh hidden rule is faithful action. Wealth does not come to those who wait idly. Every opportunity must be met with intelligent effort. Yet these actions must be guided by intuition, by an inner knowing, not by frantic striving. The right step at the right time multiplies blessings. The wrong step, taken out of fear, divides them. Practice discernment in all your efforts and trust the guidance that leads you without force or strain. Eighth is mastery over fear and worry. Fear is the silent enemy of wealth. To worry over finances, to fear loss, to imagine scarcity, is to cut off the very flow of abundance you seek. Replace fear with gratitude, doubt with affirmation. The mind held in peace and confidence becomes a magnet for prosperity. Those who are calm, composed, and joyful naturally attract wealth, while the anxious invite struggle. Finally, the ninth rule is the law of right use. Whatever wealth arrives must be used wisely, ethically, and generously. To hoard, to misuse, or to indulge selfishly is to repel the invisible current of provision. Wealth is a force, and like any force, it must be directed skillfully. When your riches serve your highest purpose and benefit the greater good, they multiply beyond measure. The universe rewards the wise steward, the careful distributor, the person who respects wealth as a sacred power. Friends, these 9 hidden rules are not mere suggestions. They are the subtle currents that shape destiny. They are practiced quietly, faithfully, and consistently. They teach us that the path to wealth is never in shouting, flaunting, or comparing, but in inner alignment, clarity, and trust. Wealth is a reflection of character, of thought, of the invisible laws that guide life. Those who follow these principles will find riches arriving silently, surely, and with grace. The power of words and inner vision is perhaps the most fundamental principle in attracting unseen wealth. Words are not merely sounds, they are vibrations that shape the very fabric of reality. Every word spoken carries energy, and when used consciously, words can build, heal, attract, and manifest. To speak of lack, limitation, or failure is to give a command to the invisible forces of life that reinforces scarcity. On the other hand, words of faith, affirmation, and abundance are magnets that draw prosperity toward the one who speaks them. Every morning, the mind should be trained to focus on words that express certainty, confidence, and positive expectation. By affirming your wealth, you are not asking for it in timid hope. You are declaring it as already present, as if it is an established fact. This is a secret many fail to understand because they look at the outer world rather than the inner reality. The inner world, composed of thought, imagination, and speech, is the true seedbed of all material manifestation. Before any bank account is filled, any business prospers, or any treasure is discovered, it first exists in the inner mind of the one who seeks it. That is why it is said that thoughts are things, and every word you speak reinforces the blueprint of your future. To engage in daily practice of affirmations, to consciously replace every negative remark with a positive one, is to cultivate the soil in which the seeds of wealth can grow unhindered. Yet words alone, without the companion of vivid inner vision, are incomplete. Wealth cannot be drawn merely by verbal affirmations if the mind itself does not clearly picture the life desired. Imagination is the invisible force that shapes circumstances. It is not enough to say, "I am wealthy," if the mind is filled with vague doubts and half-formed wishes. The inner vision must be detailed, precise, and alive with emotion. Picture the house you wish to live in, the work you love to do, the freedom you desire, and the joy that wealth brings not as something distant, but as a present reality. Feel the sensations of abundance, the comfort, the safety, the peace of mind, and the satisfaction of being able to meet every need and desire. By feeling it deeply, as though it already exists, the imagination sends a clear blueprint to the unseen forces that govern life. These forces respond to clarity and consistency. When your vision is muddled, when it is half-hearted, the results are equally confused. But when your inner picture is vivid, specific, and charged with faith, the world outside begins to rearrange itself accordingly, bringing the visible form to match the invisible pattern. The power of words and vision also requires careful attention to the elimination of contradictory speech. Often, people affirm prosperity in the morning and complain of lack in the afternoon. Such contradictions confuse the invisible law and slow the flow of abundance. Every statement of limitation, fear, or complaint must be recognized as a signal that the inner environment is out of harmony with the desires of the heart. One must practice vigilant awareness, catching every thought and utterance that contradicts the vision of prosperity. Replace "I can't afford this" with "I am always provided for in perfect ways." Replace "there is never enough" with "I live in an unlimited universe that supplies all my needs." Every word, every inner declaration, is a brushstroke painting the life that is being manifested. Words spoken with conviction are like sunlight on fertile ground, bringing growth and fruition to the seeds of wealth that have been planted within the mind. Faith, as an invisible ally, works in tandem with the power of words and inner vision. Faith is not mere hope or wishful thinking. It is tandem bias, the unwavering certainty that what is desired will appear because the universe is obedient to the laws of cause and effect. When words and vision are combined with faith, they become a force that cannot be resisted. The one who speaks with conviction, who sees clearly with the mind's eye, and who trusts without doubt, aligns perfectly with the invisible currents that carry abundance. The universe recognizes this alignment and sets in motion circumstances, people, opportunities, and ideas that reflect the inner reality of the one who has mastered this principle. Wealth often comes in unexpected ways, yet it is always the response of life to the clear, persistent, and unwavering declarations of the inner self. Those who doubt, hesitate, or waver scatter the power of their own words and dilute the force of their vision. Consistency is another key element in harnessing the power of words and vision. Wealth is rarely an instant appearance. It grows as the inner reality is maintained, without interruption. Every day presents opportunities to reinforce the inner blueprint. Morning and evening affirmations, visualization exercises, and the quiet repetition of prosperous statements keep the inner environment fertile and undisturbed. The mind is like a garden. If left unattended, weeds of doubt, fear, and limitation take root and choke the growth of abundance. Yet daily practice, careful cultivation, and mindful attention allow the seeds of wealth to flourish, bringing forth a harvest that seems miraculous to those who only observe the outer world. It is also important to recognize that the words spoken inwardly, even silently, are more potent than those spoken aloud. The inner conversation shapes character, habits, and responses to life. Wealth flows to those who maintain a positive inner dialogue, who speak kindly to themselves about their abilities, their potential, and their worthiness to receive. Conversely, those who criticize themselves, who dwell on failures, and who focus on what they lack, erect barriers to prosperity that no external effort can overcome. The inner word is the master key that opens or closes the doors of opportunity. By carefully choosing thoughts and affirmations, the individual creates an invisible map that the universe can follow, delivering riches along the path that has been imagined with clarity, faith, and expectation. Another aspect of this principle is the cultivation of gratitude as an active statement of abundance. Gratitude is a powerful word and feeling that acknowledges wealth already present, no matter how small it may seem. By expressing appreciation for every blessing, visible or invisible, the individual signals to the universe that they are ready to receive more. Words of gratitude are like magnets, attracting further prosperity, aligning circumstances, and drawing the right people into the life of the one who speaks them. Gratitude reinforces the inner vision by confirming that the wealth imagined is already part of the experience, thus accelerating its physical manifestation. The power of words and inner vision is also expressed through silent affirmation and meditative focus. Many who seek wealth do so with anxiety and hurried efforts, believing that the outer struggle alone will bring success. Yet true abundance flows to those who quiet the mind, hold a clear picture of prosperity, and repeat words of faith and affirmation with calm confidence. Meditation and silent affirmation strengthen the inner authority, allowing the individual to act from a place of power rather than reaction. By holding the mind steady on words of wealth, envisioning the desired outcome with clarity, and feeling the joy of abundance as if it already exists, the unseen forces are fully activated, and life begins to conform to the inner picture. The practice of using words and vision with integrity is essential. It is not enough to speak affirmations while secretly doubting or wishing harm on others. The inner law responds to the overall harmony of thought, word, and feeling. Those who seek wealth must do so with pure motives, free of greed, envy, or selfishness. The words of faith must reflect a genuine desire for growth, opportunity, and the good of oneself and others. In this alignment, the invisible currents of life move freely, carrying wealth quietly, naturally, and powerfully to the one who has mastered this hidden law. By combining careful speech, vivid visualization, faith, gratitude, and integrity, the individual sets in motion a force that is unseen yet unstoppable. The power of words and inner vision creates a magnetic field around the consciousness, drawing opportunities, ideas, relationships, and resources that correspond to the inner reality. Those who understand this principle quickly recognize that the secret to wealth is not in outward striving or public display, but in the quiet, persistent, and faithful cultivation of thoughts, words, and imagination. Through this practice, riches come not as a struggle, but as a natural reflection of the inner state, flowing silently, steadily, and abundantly, in harmony with the divine laws that govern all prosperity. Quiet action and generosity are the unseen channels through which wealth flows effortlessly to those who understand their subtle power. Life does not reward loudness, haste, or show. It rewards alignment, clarity, and the intelligent use of one's energies. Many people make the mistake of thinking that wealth is achieved only through visible effort, through noise, publicity, or the comparison with others, yet the laws of abundance operate quietly and invisibly. Those who seek riches without fanfare learn to move deliberately, with careful intention, and to perform actions that are guided by wisdom rather than impulse. The person who is quietly rich does not announce every step, nor does the world need to see their progress. Wealth grows like a hidden stream, moving in ways that are unseen, yet always purposeful and directed. To act quietly is to work in harmony with these invisible currents, allowing the universe to arrange circumstances, opportunities, and connections that align with the individual's highest good. In this way, every action becomes a deliberate act of co-creation, rather than a frantic attempt to force results. Generosity is a principle closely tied to quiet action. To give freely is to release a current of abundance that flows back multiplied. Yet the giving that attracts wealth is never done for recognition, praise, or social validation. It is given with a pure heart, in alignment with the understanding that all wealth is circulated and returned in unexpected forms. When one gives without expectation, the universe responds, creating channels through which more can flow, often in ways that surpass imagination. The secret lies not in the act of giving itself, but in the intention behind it. When generosity is sincere, when it comes from a deep knowing that giving is a natural law of prosperity, it becomes a magnet for unseen blessings. Every act of kindness, every silent donation, every thoughtful assistance to another becomes a seed that blooms into wealth, opportunities, and abundance that are quietly, perfectly orchestrated. The person who practices this law understands that the outward act is secondary to the inner vibration. Discretion is a companion to quiet action and generosity. Those who flaunt their giving, who boast of their wealth or publicize their kindness, often disrupt the invisible flow. The universe operates best in secrecy, in the quiet channels that are free from human judgment and expectation. True riches are cultivated silently, and those who draw them wisely understand the power of keeping their progress private. The less one announces, the freer the current of abundance can move. Public display often invites resistance, envy, and interference, whereas discreet action allows prosperity to grow naturally and undisturbed. It is the silent, consistent effort, combined with wise and thoughtful generosity, that aligns perfectly with the hidden currents of wealth. The timing and direction of action are equally important. Random activity, hurried movements, or chaotic efforts rarely produce lasting results. Quiet action requires discernment, patience, and awareness of opportunities that align with the individual's vision. Every step must be intentional, guided by the inner knowing that recognizes the right opportunity at the right time. Acting with insight rather than impulse ensures that efforts are multiplied rather than wasted. The person who understands this law moves through life like a skilled conductor, orchestrating each step to harmonize with the invisible laws of provision. Action becomes an art rather than a struggle, a collaboration with life rather than a fight against circumstances. The practice of generosity, when combined with discretion and deliberate action, creates a taper current that draws more wealth and abundance than can be measured. The universe, like a generous partner, responds to those who give in alignment with truth, purity, and joy. Those who hoard, who give begrudgingly, or who seek recognition for every act of kindness, often find their channels blocked. True giving, quiet and sincere, opens doors that no amount of striving can unlock. When one gives without expectation, the return comes not always in the same form, but in ways that are perfectly suited to the individual's needs and highest purpose. This law is often misunderstood because the returns are rarely immediate or obvious. Yet those who practice patience and trust in the unseen always find their generosity rewarded, sometimes in ways far greater than they ever imagined. It is also essential to understand that quiet action does not mean inactivity. Wealth requires effort, but the effort must be guided, deliberate, and intelligent. To act without direction, to pour energy into tensional little production, random pursuits, or to rush for immediate results is to scatter the power of one's intention. Focused action, undertaken with clarity, amplifies the effect of each step. When one aligns effort with inner vision and speaks words of affirmation in parallel, the results are accelerated. The combination of intention, discretion, and sincere giving creates a force that moves obstacles, opens doors, and draws the right people into one's life at precisely the right time. Opportunities are attracted quietly, relationships form naturally, and resources appear in perfect alignment, all without struggle or forced effort. Another aspect of quiet action and generosity is humility. Those who understand the law of unseen wealth do not act from ego, pride, or the desire to impress. They do not compete for attention or seek validation through their actions. Instead, they act from a place of inner confidence, guided by intuition, understanding that the universe will respond perfectly to their intentions. Humility ensures that actions are not contaminated by the need for recognition, leaving the flow of abundance unimpeded. The wealthy in this hidden sense are those who cultivate their inner authority, act decisively yet discreetly, and give generously without expectation, knowing that the universe responds to integrity and alignment, not display or publicity. Patience is a further dimension of this principle. Quiet action requires trust that the currents of life are working on one's behalf, even when results are not immediately visible. It is easy to grow restless, to compare oneself with others, or to act hastily out of fear. Yet the law of abundance rewards those who maintain faith, act quietly, and continue to give and serve with joy. Every step taken in alignment, every act of sincere generosity, every decision made in discretion, strengthens the invisible channels that deliver prosperity. The results may appear suddenly, as if by magic, yet they are the cumulative effect of consistent, quiet effort and pure-hearted giving. The integration of quiet action and generosity with the inner laws of wealth also requires vigilance over thoughts and intentions. One cannot act outwardly in generosity while harboring fear, envy, or doubt inwardly. Every action is amplified by the quality of inner thought. A generous deed performed with resentment or expectation often repels abundance rather than attracting it. True prosperity flows only when action is aligned with inner harmony, joy, and trust in the unseen currents of life. The combination of deliberate, quiet action and sincere, expectation-free giving creates a rhythm that is in perfect harmony with the universal laws that govern wealth. Finally, the one who masters these hidden principles understands that wealth is not merely financial, but encompasses the fullness of life, health, relationships, opportunities, peace, and joy. Quiet action and generosity extend beyond money, touching every aspect of life, multiplying blessings in ways both visible and invisible. By moving thoughtfully, giving sincerely, and maintaining discretion, the individual enters into a partnership with the universe, where abundance flows naturally, unobstructed, and powerfully, producing results that seem miraculous yet are simply the manifestation of alignment with these hidden laws. Mastery over fear and wise use of resources is the cornerstone of quiet, lasting wealth. Fear is the invisible barrier that blocks the channels through which abundance flows. It is subtle, often unnoticed, yet it wields great power in shaping one's financial, emotional, and spiritual life. Worry about scarcity, anxiety over bills, doubt regarding the future, all these thoughts are vibrations that repel prosperity. The mind cannot attract what it fears. Every anxious thought sends a signal to the unseen forces that abundance is unwanted, that limitation is acceptable, and that struggle is inevitable. To master fear is therefore the first step in becoming truly wealthy. This mastery is not achieved through suppression or avoidance, but through conscious recognition, understanding, and replacement of fearful thoughts with affirmations of faith, confidence, and expectation. The person who replaces fear with calm assurance creates an inner environment that invites the natural flow of wealth, for the universe responds to clarity and confidence, not to panic and indecision. Fear often arises from the belief that resources are finite, that there is not enough to go around. Yet the universe is abundant, infinite, and ever ready to supply the needs of those aligned with its laws. By affirming that there is always more than enough, one opens the channels for provision to flow effortlessly. It is not only the words spoken outwardly that matter, but the inner dialogue, the quiet conversation with oneself that shapes perception, character, and destiny. To constantly dwell on what is lacking is to maintain a vibration of limitation. To speak and think of wealth as already present is to lift the mind into a vibration that attracts corresponding circumstances. Fear is replaced by gratitude and faith, and in this replacement, the channels of provision are restored and strengthened. The wealthy in this hidden sense are those who maintain mental clarity, calm, and confidence, refusing to be disturbed by appearances or temporary setbacks. Alongside mastery of fear comes the wise use of resources. Wealth is a force, and like any force, it must be directed with intelligence and integrity. To squander, misuse, or hoard resources creates blockages in the flow of abundance. Money, opportunities, skills, and talents are to be employed purposefully, thoughtfully, and ethically. Those who use their wealth wisely understand that every dollar, every action, every opportunity has the potential to multiply if applied with discernment and aligned with higher principles. The careless, indulgent, or short-sighted dissipate their potential and often struggle to maintain even what they have. In contrast, the wise steward allows resources to circulate intelligently, producing returns that far exceed the original investment, not merely in financial terms, but in opportunities, relationships, and personal growth. Mastery over fear also requires the elimination of doubt and worry in daily life. Doubt acts as a silent thief, undermining confidence and creating resistance in the invisible law. To doubt whether one can achieve abundance is to limit the field of possibility, to create hesitation where decisive action is needed. Worry is similarly destructive, draining energy and focus, diverting attention from the pathways of provision. The person who masters fear replaces these destructive patterns with faith, affirmation, and deliberate thought. By consciously refusing to entertain negative scenarios, by focusing instead on solutions, opportunities, and positive outcomes, one creates an inner atmosphere that magnetizes success and wealth. This mastery is not passive, it is active, disciplined, and constant, requiring vigilance over every thought, word, and attitude. Gratitude is an essential companion to the mastery of fear. Fear and gratitude cannot coexist. When one cultivates a habit of recognizing blessings, appreciating resources, and acknowledging even small successes, the vibration of abundance is strengthened. Gratitude aligns the mind with the perception that life is generous, that there is always enough, and that the universe is responsive to faith-filled expectation. The rich in the hidden sense understand that every fortune, every opportunity, every comfort begins as an acknowledgement, an inner recognition of what is already present. By focusing on what is available rather than what is absent, fear is transformed into confidence, anxiety into calm, and limitation into infinite possibility. Wise use of resources also encompasses planning, discipline, and foresight. Spontaneous actions without thought or consideration often dissipate potential. The person who seeks true wealth takes careful stock of what is available, allocates resources with purpose, and anticipates needs in alignment with long-term goals. The act of planning is not rigid or fear-based. Rather, it is a conscious orchestration of energy, effort, and provision. By aligning intention with action and using resources with discernment, one multiplies effectiveness, ensuring that every effort produces maximum return. This principle applies not only to money, but to time, energy, relationships, and personal talents, all of which are forms of currency in the universal economy. Fearlessness also encourages boldness in action. The one who is free from fear acts decisively when opportunity presents itself. Hesitation, procrastination, and indecision are often born of unrecognized fear and create lost chances that cannot easily be reclaimed. Courage, grounded in faith, strengthens the ability to seize the right moment, make sound decisions, and invest wisely. Those who act with confidence, even in uncertainty, find that the universe responds with support, opening doors and guiding paths that are unseen to the anxious and doubtful. Every calculated and faithful step reinforces the channels of provision, creating a momentum that carries the individual steadily toward greater wealth and opportunity. Another aspect of mastery over fear is the recognition of setbacks as temporary and instructive rather than catastrophic. Those who are ruled by fear interpret obstacles as proof of limitation, whereas the wise understand that every apparent difficulty carries guidance and instruction. By maintaining faith, calm, and patience, one navigates challenges without losing momentum, using difficulties as stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. The mastery of fear allows for steady progress, resilience in the face of change, and unwavering trust that the invisible law is at work, even when appearances suggest otherwise. Wise use of wealth also involves generosity, aligning with the natural laws of circulation. Hoarding, selfishness, or indulgence disrupts the flow, while thoughtful, ethical distribution multiplies the returns of every resource. Wealth, like a river, is meant to move. It is replenished and increased through responsible stewardship. The person who invests in knowledge, shares with others, and contributes to meaningful purposes finds that every act of right use brings multiplied blessings, often in ways that are invisible, unexpected, and profound. The alignment of fearlessness with ethical use of resources creates a current of power and provision that the universe cannot resist, and through this current, abundance manifests naturally, steadily, and quietly. Maintaining inner harmony is essential in this process. Fear disturbs equilibrium, worry agitates the mind, mismanagement scatters energy. By cultivating peace, focus, and clarity, the individual creates an environment in which wealth can take root and flourish. Every decision is informed by discernment, every action guided by wisdom, and every resource applied with careful intention. The person who masters these hidden principles is not easily swayed by appearances, discouraged by temporary setbacks, or distracted by the ambitions of others. Instead, they maintain steady faith, act with intelligence, and use wealth in ways that multiply benefits, ensuring a life of true, lasting prosperity.